Anyways, so you guys were talking about the dragon. Here's the fun part. I walked over and I stood there for a couple minutes. You guys didn't notice me for a good minute. So I actually walked
we were
off.
busy.
We were fighting a Bobo.
We were
You guys were so into it that I was like, all right, I'll leave them be. I went over and I did an entire race of Daytona USA.
Oh, really?
I came back and you were still playing, and I was like, okay.
I had no idea.
Well, you guys were so into it, I didn't want to bother you, so I was just like, I'll go see what's going on. The Daytona
winning. No,
that's 4.
I barely
but yeah, I went over and I just did an entire race of Daytona USA. Came back and I was like, okay, I'll watch now. That arcade setup was really nice, though. They had some really.
It was very nice.
Hey guys, I'm Bill, a one-time Instagram blogger and now a podcaster.
And I'm Alex, the chaotic neutral.
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast.
A brother-sister duo.
That talks about gaming.
And also anime.
And don't forget the collecting. Sometimes.
Forget it. We're just a nostalgia podcast at this point.
But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, before I get into my normal spiel, I'd like to say we have another guest on this episode. Josh from Still Loading is returning. How you doing, Josh?
Who, me? Had to do it.
Had to do it to him.
Well,
how are your beans?
They are sitting currently on my daughter's play kitchen up top. The first thing that she did when she saw them was she quoted Bluey and said, I slipped on my beans. Which only people who know Bluey are going to get that joke, which is legitimately a good joke in my opinion. But anyway, no, I'm doing fine and dandy, though I've been on like even before our episode topic occurred and the rest of the week I've been on a John Denver kick lately, and I just can't seem to stop listening to that on my way to and from work. I don't know why. I don't know where this kick has come from. But yeah, so I've been listening to John Denver and playing a lot of games.
Oh, nice.
And Alex, I'm very disappointed that you didn't pick up on the Denver joke there. Denver?
Denver? Apparently not.
Oh boy. So we'll get the count going. That's 1. It's funny
though. I was trying to let you talk, I was trying not to interrupt. I've been interrupting a lot recently, so I'm trying to hold it together. at least past like the 10-minute mark.
Oh, we're like less than 2 minutes in. And we're already off the rails.
Oh no.
It's all right. It's funny you mentioned like being like on like a music kick, though. I've been on a Queen kick as of late for whatever reason.
Oh.
We went on my other podcast, the 3DO Experience, we went on a tangent about like biopics and like music movies, and about how like the Bohemian Rhapsody movie has a lot of problems, but I still kind of like it in the long run, and how the other ones have kind of just not been as good.
Mm-hmm.
But like this whole week I've been like, I just want to listen to Queen, so I've been kind of just on that like rabbit hole for like an entire week now.
Queen is one of those bands where their music is just timeless. And I say that not even as like a huge fan of it. Like I don't dislike Queen by any stretch, but like, their some of their hits are just still good. They still feel modern today, I legit think Don't Stop Me Now is like one of the best songs ever.
I mean, I'm a strong defender of like the Miracle album, which is like one of the 2 that they did when he was sick with the AIDS virus. They did 2 more out. Well, technically 3, but 2 when he was alive. And the Miracle was the first one. That's like my favorite album I think they've done. Like it's actually surprisingly solid. That's like it's got like the song I Want It All on it. The Miracle, Scandal, The Invisible Man, a whole bunch of their like lesser known classics.
I should check that out because I'm one of those fans of Queen who only knows their hits. I've been actually trying to do that recently. And so, like I said, I've been on a John Denver kick. And while I haven't listened to a lot of his more obscure stuff, I remember like a couple months ago, I was trying to go down that rabbit hole a little bit. And I try to find some other John Denver songs that maybe I never heard before. And there's one called Prisoners, which no one really talks about. And that song is surprisingly good. It's very of its time. Like, it's talking about like soldiers in Vietnam and stuff like that. But like, it's a really good song that not a lot of people talk about.
So what have you been doing, Alex?
I've been watching the One Piece live action for the past about 3 hours. And I'll just say it's a great time to be a One Piece fan. We've got the best anime, the best manga, and the best live action. So we're just winning over here in this corner.
Is it actually really good?
Oh my god, it's excellent. And
So I've never gotten into One Piece.
I honestly recommend watching the live action. It may get you into it. The snail phones, which are called Den Mushi, are terrifyingly accurate. But you know, watch it. It's really good. I feel like the actors that they got, like, they really picked out the most perfect actors for it. Like, I just feel like they fit the character so well, and you can tell that Oda was very involved.
It's almost like when you have the creator of something involved with like alternative work, it comes out good. Yeah, imagine that.
And I will say too, there are some differences in it. Like, definitely there's differences in the story, but I think it all works for the live action. I just recently watched the episode with Buggy, which is the clown pirate. And like, honestly, he's so much more threatening in the live action. He was really lame in the regular anime, so they made him a lot more threatening, which was cool. So, and I think all the adaptations have been really well, especially with like the devil fruits and stuff. So I've been really impressed. I'm going to binge it. I may stay up all night and watch it. And each episode is like an hour too. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, they're all like an hour long. So there's only 8 episodes, but I would say like technically it's probably like more like 16 episodes since they're all like an hour long. So,
see, I never wanted to try to get into One Piece just because I know it's such a massive undertaking. Like, there's just so much One Piece.
It's
and
so worth it.
I feel like I had like, if there was like the amount of energy I have in my entire lifetime, I think I only had one. I could only devote part of my life to like one master series, and I chose Naruto. And I refused to. You know what? I never liked the art style personally. That's not a criticism of it. Like, I don't have like, it just didn't like jive with me. Like, I don't really have like a specific reason as to why. I don't think it looks ugly, but I remember that's what turned me off from it at first. Where I was just like, I don't like how the characters look. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So I never really got into it. So anime has been something that I will always admire from afar now. I actually, the reason I don't watch it, not because of I guess the main reason now is anime fans have kind of turned me off from liking anime.
No, that's
fair.
I get that. That's very fair. As I call the My Hero Academia fan base one of the stinkiest and the worst. Yeah, no, they're definitely. I agree, and there's some One Piece fans that are a little crazy out there, but my interactions have been pretty good with other One Piece fans. But I don't know, if you want to get into it but not like commit to like the whole series, maybe check out the Netflix adaptation because it is really well done.
Even that, I barely have time for to watch anything that I want to with my
wife. That's two.
Oh my god! But no, I do want to try it at some point. I just never have time.
That's
no
fair.
Pressure.
That's the main reason I haven't
but
watched it.
Also a lot of pressure.
She's a bit obsessive when it comes to One Piece.
Hey, you know what? I respect fandom.
Yeah. This is like the only one I get super into, so let me be happy, okay?
I mean,
I got tormented by a cricket all week. Leave me alone.
Is that why your Zencaster handle is cricket noises?
Yes. Well, I change it every time, but yes, that's the reason why.
Yeah, that's tame compared to some of the
Well, I
disturbing
was
shit
trying
you'll
to
show,
make
right?
it. Well, Bill bought sandwiches today. He went to Jersey Mike's, which I love Jersey Mike's. So I was trying to make it buff chicky but no gluten sandwich, and it was too many words. So I just made it cricket noises instead.
Buff chicky?
I just try to make it the most absurd stuff to break Bill. I failed today.
Yeah.
Cricket
You failed
noises.
this podcast.
I failed. But yes, I was tormented by a cricket all week. There was one
That was
that
my
got.
high school band's name.
Well, there was an actual one in my office, and it was so fucking annoying. And like all of my coworkers were like, "We gotta save the cricket," and I was like, "I'm going to murder the cricket if I see it. He will die." They did save him, but I was very on the move to murder that cricket because he was annoying as shit. They're so loud.
Yes, they are.
They're so loud, and it would cricket all day long in the office. And
Yeah. It was one of those weeks too where like I thought it was Friday like 3 days this week.
yes, that was also a thing.
See,
Sorry.
I actually I didn't want my work week to end this week because tomorrow, the day after, we're recording this on a Friday. I don't know when this is coming out, but
Woo!
recording this on a Friday, and this weekend I have to clean out my mother-in-law's attic and our basement because we're having a yard sale, and I just don't want to do it. I'd much rather drive to work and work for 8 hours than do all of that. It's just I'm not looking forward to it in the slightest.
I don't know what the heat's like where you are right now, but I know like going up in my attic is like impossible right now because it's so hot up there.
Ugh.
It's gonna be warm no matter what. The heat doesn't bother me too much. Like it will when I walk up to it, it'll feel like I get hit by like a wall of heat. But after that, after I get used to that initial blast, it won't be so bad. It's just that initial blast is just like, ugh.
I'm
Hmm.
But then afterwards, I'm fine.
No, I hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Anyways, so moving on, we do have a
Wait,
topic for this episode.
No.
Oh,
What are you drinking?
Oh, I've got a beer chilling
If
here.
you say beans, Alex, I swear to God.
It's not beans, I swear.
It's holidays. It's officially fall, getting into that time of the year. So I'm drinking a Sam Adams Oktoberfest because that's the closest thing to a pumpkin flavored beverage I will drink.
You don't like
You don't
your,
like
your
pumpkin
PSL?
spice?
No, I don't. I don't really like pumpkin in general. That might be a controversial take, but
Well, technically, pumpkin spice isn't pumpkin. It's like
It's like nutmeg or something.
Yeah, it's nutmeg and sugar and a bunch of other shenanigans.
so my thing is like with coffee and stuff. Like I only drink black coffee, so I'd never really experience it anyways.
Black coffee. Oh no, my cat.
You know what? Yeah, last time I was on, I told Alex I'd bring her up a can of tuna, and I failed. This time, I'm going to just bring up a pumpkin for you, Bill. Next time.
Wonderful.
Just bring
Here's your
him a whole
pumpkin spice life, bitch.
Make sure it's
bring
in
him a
season.
pumpkin pie, and then
I'll
eye him
just
in the face
with a Sharpie. I'll just write spice on the pumpkin.
Nice.
And hand it to you.
But yeah. So we do have a topic for this episode.
Wait, you didn't ask me what I was drinking.
I don't want to listen to you recite the ingredients to a water bottle.
Have you really done that, Alex?
That's her new running joke.
All right, yes, let's move on then.
I wasn't gonna do it this time.
It was going to be the ingredients to a can of beans. Ingredient number 1, beans.
No, I am drinking a Kirkland signature.
All right, and that's all we need to know.
Are you sure you don't want to know what cereal cat?
No, I don't.
You can put your name on it.
Actually, that reminds me of something. This is super random. So my kid lately has been obsessed with Arthur, and like the original cartoon Arthur from like the 90s, right?
That show was
And
wild.
it's a great, honestly. So
Many memes.
they were at a grocery store at DW and her mom, and over the loudspeaker you hear, like shoppers, but it's like some type of announcer guy like trying to speak to the shoppers, and one of them is like, do you want to help yourself fall asleep? We have our warm carbonated milk. It helps you burp and go to sleep. I'm like, I was like, what the fuck? Carbonated milk.
See, my favorite is the classic DW, like this sign can't stop me. I can't read. It's like, okay, that makes sense.
There's so many jokes in this show that I'm just like, like there was one, Arthur's trying to teach DW how to ride a bike, and he's showing her all the hand signals. And so DW randomly, like, she's like, hey, what does this signal mean? And she doesn't, like, brings her arms up and like wiggles her fingers and like with her hands next to her face and kind of like shakes her head at the same time, does something kind of goofy. And Arthur just goes, I don't know. Just it really deadpan, and it made me chuckle. But then all of a sudden, this random dude soaking wet in a towel runs up and hands DW a watermelon, and they're like, I forget, they know the person, they know the guy. And they're like, excuse me, Mr. So-and-so, what was this for? He's like, you gave the sign, where I come from, when people are riding a bike and they wiggle their fingers by their head, it means that they need a watermelon ASAP. So, and he's like, I was in the middle of a shower, so I got to get back to it. And then they just run away and they never talk about it again.
Is it bad that I vividly remember that?
I also remember that.
I was watching it, I'm just like, what the hell is happening in this show?
I'm still in the minority that believes that Arthur was completely justified when he hit DW in that one episode.
I don't even remember what it was.
Honestly, DW was a little shit.
Oh, she is a little shit.
So what happened in the episode was he had just finished painting this model plane, and then DW decided to throw it out the window. And then basically, like, when Arthur was pissed, she was making fun of him for building it like shittily, and then he just hits her. And I was like, she deserved it. Like, I don't care.
All the kids in that show are very mean. Like, there's one that Arthur he was the only one of his friends who had not lost a single baby tooth yet. And they're all making fun of him for it. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. They were all pretty shitty. Or there was also the one with head lice, where like they all have they're all in like quarantine for head lice except for Buster because he's gross. That was the reason why he didn't have head lice.
Oh, they were little like jerk. I remember one episode where DW, like, it's someone who like kept visiting, and she literally was like closes the door on their face and she goes, "Hey, Jessica." And Jessica's like, "Hey, DW, what's up?" And she's like, "Why don't you get out of here and stop bothering us?" And I just remember that scene vividly, being like, honestly, I kind of get it,
Kid shows were edgy back in the day.
What'd you say?
I said kid shows were edgy back in the day.
Oh, I thought you were saying DW was me back in the day. I was like, I was not DW.
All right.
Anyway.
So this isn't the Arthur podcast. I'm sure there's better ones of those out there.
It's been 16 minutes?
Yep.
We've wasted so much time.
Yes,
we've gained so much joy.
Yes. Accurate.
This isn't even that bad for us. We've had some real bizarre like openers.
I know. I've listened to a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I
moving
didn't
on.
Scream about One Piece this time, so
thank you.
That's a win. I can if you want me to.
No, I'm okay. I'll bring you your can of beans back.
No. Can they bring me a can of tuna? Like you promised. Because I got that tuna. I got it the right way.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. You cheated.
No, I did. The game allows you to do this for the poor, unfortunate people who can't fish. That's how I had to do it.
Anyway.
Right. Anyways. So our topic for this episode is so this weekend was actually, well, at the time of the recording, it's going to be like probably 2 weeks after, but at the time we were recording, this previous weekend was actually the 2023 edition of the Retro World Expo up in Connecticut.
Woo.
And this is me and Alex's 4th time going, but it was actually Josh's first time going, and we actually got to meet up in person for the first time. So
Yeah.
What?
we're thinking
We
for this
weren't
episode.
murdered.
That got
I'm
dark.
actually dead, everybody. Bill and Alex murdered me in Connecticut,
And
which
this
is
is
my
your
other high
ghost.
school band's name.
Ghost.
Well, anyway, so we were going to actually kind of go over the event and just kind of talk about how everything went this time around. And I guess to start, like, I'll let you go first, Josh, because this was your first time at the convention. What did you think of it overall, like setup wise, like overall the experience?
I really enjoyed it. First off, this is the second. I did a panel. The whole reason I came up is because I submitted a panel to the convention, and they were nice enough to approve it. And I went up to do the panel, and so this is the second convention I've ever done a panel at. I've done panels at 2 other conventions, but it was the same convention in back-to-back years. I did a convention called the Geekdom Con back in 2022, and I did it again this year. And let me tell you, this convention treats their panelists a lot nicer than the Geekdom. And I'm not even necessarily throwing shade at the other con. It's just like these guys, they make you feel like you're giving your time to give us content. Like we're not paying you and you're just doing this for fun. So thank you. I got thanked the moment I got in there, which I was just so surprised by. I'm not used to that. That and like they give you like an all access pass for the weekend. There's I don't know, it just felt a little bit more appreciative than the others. So that was the first thing I noticed going up. But I guess actually a little like first thing I noticed actually getting to the con. But in traveling to the con, I live kind of in southeastern PA, and I drove all the way up to Connecticut, which was like a 4.5 hour drive. And the first thing I'm going to say is Route 15 is a fucking bitch. Like, I don't know what is wrong with people. There's random slowdowns for 40 plus minutes, and I think I figured out why. I think I've been it's been stuck in my craw like all week, and I think I figured out why. It's because the on ramps to get onto that highway are fucking stop signs. There's no speed up,
Yep.
so it's like in any other highway you have like a good stretch of runway in order to get up to speed and merge, and it gives other cars time to get into the left lane or create space if they're going to be nice. I mean, they could all be jerks, but in general, as long as people see the turn signal on, they're going to be pretty cool and they're going to try to let you in. But like with this, anyone trying to get onto Route 15 has to be full stopped at a stop sign, and there is like no runway. So eventually, with how much traffic is there, people are just going to start pulling out when there's really not as much time as they could as needed.
Yeah.
So when you have tons and tons of exits doing this, constantly forcing people to slow down and then speed up and slow down and then speed up, you're going to create a backlog of traffic. It's just a poorly designed highway. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
If they had those up here, there would be accidents like every hour.
I think they do in parts of Connecticut.
Though Route 15 is in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
That's what I thought you were.
I meant to like around like the Springfield, like kind of like our work drive area.
We don't have any like close to us, thank God. But yeah, I've driven down that. I don't go down that way as often, just because we end up kind of just staying like Hartford and up into Massachusetts. Just because it'll be a farther drive. But I have gone down there a couple times and been on that route, and yeah, that road does definitely suck.
It's not fun. I did not enjoy it. I'll be honest, it's beautiful. It is beautiful drive, but it is just a nightmare to actually drive.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a pain to get up there. And then getting to my hotel, which actually is where Bill and I met up. Bill met with me over after his work. We recorded a podcast, which
eat sketchy pizza.
Eat some
with the very aggressive owner.
Who wasn't aggressive with us. He was very aggressive with a new employee, though, like being like, no, click that. No, go over here. No, do that. It was just very kind of demanding of her.
It was very awkward, just standing to the side, not knowing what to say.
It was fine, though. We should have. Now we know we should have gone to another spot, which we'll get to, because it was where we all ate on the last day of the convention, and there's lots of jokes about it. So I want to save it for then. So I got to the hotel, no issues with
other than that door.
other than yeah. So I stayed at the hotel. There's two hotels that you can get with the block that the convention center gives the discount code for. They have the one connected to the convention center, and then the other one is across the river, which is about a 10-15 minute walk, and that's cheaper because it's farther away and you have to walk or this type of thing. So that's where I stayed. And they have an automatic rotating door. Like it's an auto door, so the closer it'll normal auto door, when you get close enough, it senses the motion and turns. Problem is, it senses it from like 5 feet away, and it starts turning. So you're like, holy shit, and you like have to lunge forward. You have to run to get in, and you can fit like 3 people inside of each like area of this rotating door, because it's not split up into quarters. It's like thirds, and they're giant. It's a giant circle. So like you could fit like 5 people and they're just kind of shuffling in like penguins if you really want to. But obviously that's fucking weird. So you have like one person going into this giant, like you could fit so many people. You feel like you're being so wasteful every time you walk through the door. I'm like, you could fit 5 people in with the amount of energy being wasted to turn this fucking door. Anyway, my room was not well kept.
No.
I found an empty 12-pack case of like just cardboard hiding behind a chair. I left it there.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, if it's there, just don't touch it.
I didn't want to touch it.
Who knows?
But after I got all settled in, met up with Bill, we went for some shitty pizza. And then, you had a salad, I had wings, and the wings were actually pretty good.
Salad was fine. It was in a really weird bowl, though.
It feels like it was impossible to mix, too.
Yeah, it was. I just kind of.
It looked more like a vase.
It was like a soup dish of like salad.
A soup dish of salad
with beans.
No,
soup dish of salad. SOS beans. Yeah.
A sign.
And so then we went back to the hotel room. Bill and I recorded an episode on a topic which is yet to be announced. I don't think it'll be out by the time this episode drops.
It was about beans.
Definitely about beans.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's a game out there all about beans.
Beans.
I will.
Sorry, Dr. Robotnik's bean machine.
That is true.
Dang it! I just spoiled it for you.
I do want to drop a shout out though to the gentleman at the front desk who didn't give me a hard time for parking at the hotel when I wasn't supposed to be. I'd like to say that.
Well, apparently that hotel, I don't think they give 2 shits about anything there, because
no.
What is it? So my friend Chris and his wife Z, who run the awesome YouTube channel Rewind Arcade, which they were vendors at Retro World. They were in the same hotel as me, and apparently, so we were both on the second floor, but I was on one half of the building on one side and they were on the other. And apparently there was some like dude high off his rocker screaming at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So they asked to change the room. So at like 3, like, they have a longer drive than I do. They have like a 6-hour drive to get up there. Oof. So they drove all the way up there in one day, are exhausted from the drive, just trying to, relax and get checked in and go to sleep. And they can't, because this dude is high off his rocker fucking screaming. And so at like 3 o'clock in the morning, they had to completely change rooms in order to, they went up to the 4th floor. So they got like the opening day of the con, Saturday, they maybe had like 3 hours of sleep.
Oh no.
I know. I felt bad when we were like chatting with them when we first got there, and they were still setting up, and the poor guy was like, "Can you come back in like half an hour and then I'll be out ready?" I'm like, "No worries."
Yeah, I felt so bad. It was rough for them. So yeah, we recorded an episode. We said our goodbyes until the next day, and then then we got to the convention. And so then
ran. He ran as soon as he saw us.
I don't know you, stranger danger.
You actually found us pretty quick, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you found us. I forgot.
I yelled stranger danger and then ran towards you.
Yes.
Well, I guess like
no.
For a little context, we've mentioned in previous Retro World episodes, but if you either have all access or you buy like the early access package, which is probably the best package to get for Retro World, you actually get an hour. You get to get into the show floor like an hour early when it's like not super packed, so you can like scope everything out. So this was during that like early like first hour where there was like nobody in there and it was super chill.
It is really nice in there. Oh, now on my way over to the convention on that first day, though, so I was walking across the bridge. It's a beautiful view of the convention center, by the
I
way.
remember that.
Walking across the bridge, get across the bridge, and then there's like another kind of like causeway or like walkway, I guess, from where the bridge ends on the other side of the river to the convention center. And it actually goes by the Hartford Science Center, which looks like this really cool place you can take kids to learn about science and all this other stuff.
Ooh.
And there was some random guy just smoking. I think it was weed because I smelled weed, but who knows what it was out of a Coke can.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, welcome to Hartford.
Yep. welcome to East Hartford.
Well, that area was Hartford, but
True.
that just sounds about right for a downtown city. It happens. But hey,
Oh, I mean, he wasn't harming. He wasn't doing anything. He was just by himself. Wasn't talking to anyone. Just trying. It honestly
even
felt like
offered
he was
you to
just
have
taking
some.
in
No,
the
just
morning
kidding.
smoke. You know.
Yeah.
He's like, you want to use the
You want some can?
thanks,
So-
can I?
Yeah.
It's actually really
It
funny.
wasn't
Like,
weed. It was just can.
He's just smoking aluminum.
I'm sure that's not healthy for you.
Oh, probably not.
No.
So it's kind of funny. Like, like the previous month, me and Alex were actually at a similar convention
Alex
called.
and I.
I'm a machinist, not a grammar expert.
Grammar.
Graham.
Really no.
That's 3. So we were at a convention the previous month, and it was in the same convention center, and like utilized like all the same area. And I have to say, like when we showed up, I was because I forgot Retro World is like actually still a pretty small convention, all things considered. I forgot because when we went to Kineticon, like the line was so long and like it was like queued into like these 3 separate queues and took over an hour to get in.
Yeah.
And for Retro World, like we showed up, literally like parked, got out, walked right up to the thing. We're in 2 seconds. Like one of the easiest like convention like check-ins and just get right in it I think I've ever been through.
You see, you say that, but then when I checked in, like it was easy. I'm not gonna lie about that. It was definitely easy, but I will say I've never been to a con that requires 3 forms of like authorization or authentication or whatever just to get in. I had a wristband that said Retro World Expo. I had a badge that said
Oh
Retro World
yeah,
Expo
and then
full
a
access,
stamp.
and then a hand stamp on my
Yeah.
on the back of my wrist or on the back of my hand in order to say, like, I'm like, why do you need 3 things?
I don't get this. I don't
Yeah,
get the
don't get the
stamp. I don't
stamp
get the
either.
stamp at all.
I don't get it. I think the stamp is from the convention center, not the con
Mm,
itself. I
yeah.
think it's I think it's like convention center protocol or something like that.
Well,
But I just remember because I got in from you because I had all access and I was a panelist. I could just get in from the exit side. I didn't even have to like go through security. They just let me in. And so that's what I did the first day. But when I left and tried to go back in, I didn't want to go back through the exit because I feel like that'd be weird when it's not like the beginning of the con. So I go through the main entrance and the lady's like, "Where's your stamp?" I'm like, "I don't have a stamp." I'm like, well, how did you leave? How did you go in? Them? Like, well, I'm a panelist. I showed her my badge and I showed her my wristband. She's like, "Oh, you need a stamp." I'll go, well, okay. I mean, I don't know why. I have two things showing I am at this convention, but okay.
Yeah, that's always been a weird part about
Well-
Retro World that like I've never quite understood. We just
So-
kind of go with it.
I think from what I'm getting with the convention is that like Kineticon is run by like the Kineticon staff. I think Retro World like gets help from the convention center staff as well. So I think like they have their staff, but they also are hiring people that work for the convention center as well. So I think that's why it's like weirdly doubled up because they're using their protocols and then Retro World is using their protocols, and then it's a mess. But I think they like hire the convention staff to help them out, which is why it's weird.
Yeah. Also, the lanyards are just kind of a perk that you get if you're special.
Yeah, I don't think you like everyone gets a lanyard. I think you
No,
only get
because
a lanyard if you do the full access.
so shout out to our buddy Schnickerman. Him and his wife showed up for a little bit,
Schnickerman!
and we hung out with
Sorry.
them as well. But they just had the 1-day pass. They didn't even have like plastic wristbands. They had like the cheap little like paper ones that you get, and that's like all they had. I noticed. So I know the lanyards are mostly, you only get the lanyard if you got like early access or you were like all access, like a panelist or a vendor or something.
Yes.
Yep. Not even vendors got them. Both Chris from Rewind Arcade and my buddy Josh from Firespin Gaming, neither of them had badges like that, had those lanyard badges. And they're like,
really?
where do you get one of those? I'm like, I just went up, I was a panelist, and they gave me one. I said, okay, and I walked in.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting, because I
know
know
what it is then.
So we've gotten one every year we went. Oh, you know what it also is too? You have to go to like the will call to get them, and I think a lot of people just don't. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, will call, I think that's that little room off to the side, right?
Yeah, the little room right by the entrance that a lot of people like miss.
That one didn't even work, Alex. That's 3.5.
I know. Sorry.
See, that one missed so bad that I didn't even notice it. So yeah, going into the talking a little bit about the event itself. So me and Alex have been there. This was our 4th year going, I want to say, because we first went 2019. 2020 didn't happen for obvious reasons.
Yes.
We came back.
You tried to go, but no one would let us in.
No, he didn't. They didn't even offer tickets that year.
It's just Alex, like with her face pressed against the glass at the convention center. I want to go to Retro World. Let me in.
And they're like, someone please call the police.
Like, why is this girl speaking with a southern accent? She's clearly from Connecticut. I'm not from southern
I'm not from Connecticut. I'm from Massachusetts.
Close
That's
enough.
even farther north.
Close enough. But yeah, so like we had gone in 2021 and then we had went 2022 as well. So I guess we're Retro World veterans at this point.
Yeah.
So I will say one thing I love about Retro World Expo just as a convention is the fact that it is so small and it's not like super big and built up.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you just notice when you're in there that there's just kind of like a vibe to that to the convention where like everybody is like super chill and everyone is there for a reason. It's not like you don't get a lot of people showing up just for like the fact that it's a convention. They just want to be there. Everyone is very much like everybody is into the gaming scene or wrestling, because Retro World's also a wrestling convention. Kind of. I've never really understood that connection, but hey.
What I've liked about this is that, and I wanted to go last year because what I like about it is that it has a really good mix of like content creators, ones that I enjoy and others that I don't. Like it had all the Retronauts here, and I'm a huge Retronauts fan. And in fact, one of them, Nadia, has been on my show before, which was awesome. Another one, Diamond Fight, we actually really hit it off, and they wanted to come on my Still Bonding show.
Nice.
Which I have to reach out to them. Actually, I'm going to probably email them tonight, I think. But they gave me their business card. I'm going to be able to chat with them on that, hopefully. But then they also have like Bob from Retro RGB. He does a lot of the stuff that's like upscaling and making all your old games look really nice. They had wrestlers. They had a lot of like what is it, Tim Kitzrow, who was the announcer for NBA Jam,
and he was announcing everything that happened around him as he was there, which was great.
Very silly.
Terry Tarok, who was like he did a lot of like he did a lot of stuff on like Video Power and like Nintendo World Championships back in the day. So I guess he was like the host for it. Ian James Corlett, who is the original voice of Goku, I got him to sign my Captain N t-shirt since he's also the voice of Dr. Wily on Captain N in that show. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to regret saying this because they are fellow content creators, but the only ones I really were not interested in seeing were all the resellers. There was like reseller content creators there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for what they do, but like, I just I just don't care that much about that style of content.
I think what irked me. So I'm not going to mention any specific names on here. I mean,
Mention
not
them. Spill the tea.
well, it's not even like you can look up the content creators on Retro World's Expo on Retro World's site. So I have no issue saying I wasn't a fan of that style of content, but one of them apparently before the show even opened, like before you guys even had a chance to get in with your early access, they just went around the floor and would scoop up all some of the best deals from vendors.
Yeah, that's really shitty for
And,
collecting.
yep, and I understand the dude's a reseller, and I understand they are trying to, get make content for their own thing while also getting a side hustle with, or not maybe not even a side hustle. I don't know what it is, but resell some of the stuff they buy. I don't like that shit. I think that's really shitty to do. Because you're there as a guest. You're not there to
Yeah.
dick over the con goers. Like if you're doing that out in the like hunting, yard sailing or at stores or at this and that, I to each their own. But at a con, like you're there for other people. You're not there for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
And I understand they probably got
No, yeah.
paid, but still, it I don't know, something about it just irked me. Something about it
Yeah.
just rubbed me the wrong way.
it ruins the experience for all like the regular people who are just there to have fun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's one of the reasons why like I say this a lot because like collecting has become such a miserable hobby to get into. Like it's great, but at the same time, there's just so much about it that makes it such a not a fun hobby anymore.
Exactly. And that's why, so with this, that's why I've always like, I think with going to conventions in general, and I actually remember I was so surprised when you guys said that you don't go to panels at all when you go to cons, where it's like the reason I go to cons is so I can see, like, I can see people do presentations on shit that I'll never get to see, like that's harder to find online or not, at least not in that format. Like what is it? Jeremy Parrish from Retronauts did one called Toy Maker versus Game Maker, and it was all about Sega's and Nintendo's design approach to games. Like not criticizing one or the other, but really diving into like, well, when Nintendo makes an adventure game, they make Legend of Zelda. What happens when Sega tries their hand at it with their kind of more arcade like mindset, arcade gaming mindset? And I can't remember all the specifics of it, but like he gave a lot of he talked about it. He gave some examples of games where they tried that, and it was interesting. I really wish I would have I should have taken notes because I found it fascinating. But yeah, I it's that type of stuff. Like you don't like. I know that's kind of like a podcast. I'm fairly certain he recorded it because he said in Retronauts. So you might be able to hear it either on a Retronauts feed or if you're a patron. I don't know if it's going to be a patron exclusive thing for them, but it's really cool. And like Nadia from Retronauts, she did a panel which was kind of amusing called it was Link and Zelda Ill-Fated Love or something like that, and it was basically going through every Zelda game and looking at what Link and Zelda, is their love destined to be, or was it an ill-fated that should never occur, should never have happened, or something like that. And it wasn't anything serious, it was just something fun. And I like that type of I like seeing those kind of like serious investigations, but then also taking a more goofy look at some of the more nonsensical stuff in gaming.
Yeah.
And like if I like I that's why I like going to cons. Like don't get me wrong, I love the dealer's room and I will spend the vast majority of my time there, but I don't like paying like 40-50 bucks just to go around to pay to admit it to a marketplace. When
Yeah.
like it depends though. Like, and just to be clear, I hope it doesn't. It's not coming off as I'm saying the way you guys do cons is stupid.
No.
I don't mean it that way. I
So
I was just surprised because I know you also like game history like myself. So I was surprised that you didn't. I understand not every panel is going to be something that's interesting. Like there was a lot of reseller panels, and I'm like, no, thank you, not touching that.
So I won't speak for Alex because I'm not sure about her opinion, but my thing with panels isn't so much I don't care for the subject matter. It's more I just don't like being in a room like that. Like, so maybe Retro World actually might be better because Retro World's not a big convention, so the rooms aren't nearly as full. I just don't like being in like a crowded room like that for long periods of time.
But you're in the dealer's room, a crowded room for a
Yeah,
long period.
this is what I argue with him all the time.
So, but the difference
because
is
I want to go to panels, and he goes, "I don't want to go to panels."
Well,
I'm
you
like,
can
I
go
want
to
to go to one. Well, I
you
can't
can
go by
go.
myself if it's just you and me. Like,
So
sorry, you've brought up an argument now.
So the difference between the room is at least I'm moving around in the actual like the actual
Some
vendor
of them
hall.
are so much worse. Like every time we've gone to Anime Boston, it's so much worse than a panel would be.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of those bigger cons, like I've never been to Kineticon, but like the rooms that fill like 100 some odd people, I could see how you wouldn't necessarily see. I wouldn't mind that so much, but I understand what you're saying. Like it would be like you can't go to a panel and just be one guy in the back just pacing around doing steps, being like, and the panelist is like, "What the fuck is that guy doing in the back?" And you
I gotta get my steps in.
Gotta get my steps in.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd actually enjoy like standing in the back. I just don't like sitting down for long periods of time. That's
stand.
That's fair enough.
I mean, if they give the option to stand, maybe.
Honestly, you probably could just stand in the back. Most people wouldn't care.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things that and Retro World. Retro World is like my playground where I just like to run around because this is like the one hobby that I've like been doing consistently for years now. So this has always been kind of my strong point. I will say about the panels though, one criticism I have, it's not really their fault, it's more just kind of what they had on hand, was to get to the panel rooms you had to go really out of your way.
Yeah, no, that's corner. Well, apparently that was the same as last year too. Because I remember seeing like the panel locations are the same as last year type of thing, and I'm like, why are they so far away from the deal? Like you have to literally leave the convention to take 2 escalators up to the 6th floor,
and then it's in a side room that's way off.
Yeah, it's in like at least that. I mean, I think other conventions there, like Kineticon, I think also uses those rooms as well, but they use the main ones as well across too. Like they use the main one for like the really big panels or like stage performances, because they do like the cosplay contests there. But then I think they also use the side ones. But like there's so much more going on up there that it like more people will go up there.
These feel like such an afterthought.
So here's my theory on this, and I think this might also this I got to go into another running joke with Retro World that I always like to bring up is so the fun thing about Retro World is they don't actually rent out the entire convention center like a lot of conventions do. Yeah. I think because half of the convention center is rented out towards another convention at the same time, they basically have to take what they can get.
That would make sense. And it was the largest panel room I've ever been in to host my own panel, because when I've done panels at like GeekdomCon, like first off, I love that these are in separate rooms, because a lot of the panels I've been to recently at conventions, they are like in the main show floor, but just sectioned off by curtains. So like you're competing with all the other noise. Like, listen, I don't mind like you competing for people's attention with like the show floor, like the dealer's room, but like at least like Too Many Games, which is another, I didn't do a panel there, but like it's another big convention in the same place as like GeekdomCon, and their panel rooms are separate from the show floor, but they're not far away. Like you don't have to go very far at all just to even get to them. They are a little bit outside. I think you do have to kind of go back through security to get to them, but like it's not like here at Retro World where you leave the convention floor out past security where the security checkpoint to get in is, and then go all the way upstairs, which by the way, technically you wouldn't even need a ticket to go see any of these panels because there's nobody checking those things. You could just
there really isn't.
There's no security up there. You could just you could just take the escalator up. And when I say the 6th floor, listeners, I don't mean like it's like it is pretty high up, but it's not like hard to get to. It's just out of the way.
No, it's just like if you weren't on the mission to find the panels, like you would not find them. Like you wouldn't really know where to go.
I will say
but
though,
also,
the panel rooms are very nice for
They
what
are
they are.
very,
yeah.
very nice. I got to see the Norwalk. Hold on, I'm going to look them up. They were really good. They performed live music though. They were the Norwalk Game Symphony Orchestra is what they're called. You can actually find them on Instagram, Norwalk GSO. They performed like a bunch of arrangements live in panel room A, which is actually where my panel was at. And it was awesome. One of the coolest things I ever got. I rarely get to see live video game music, especially from an orchestra. They were fantastic. Like you can definitely tell it's like and I don't mean this as an insult towards them because it's a lot of fucking work to do what they do. There was some moments where like the band geek in me, I was like, ooh, there's a couple spots that I wish I would have heard. Like I wish they would have done something a little different, or just some minor errors here and there. But literally, the vast majority was wonderful. It was so good. They had such a great selection of music. They did an a cappella thing of a bunch of them came up and did a cappella of Super Mario Sunshine when they do the little cube test. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
They did an a cappella version of that. They performed stuff from Ori and the Blind Forest from the Ori series. They did stuff from Maple Story, which really surprised me.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. They did Maple Story. They did Chrono Trigger. They did Super Mario RPG. They had stuff they did Halo. They did a bunch of everything. It was a really good mix of song selections, and really, 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 really enjoyed that. And like I said, I saw the 2 Retronauts panels that they were really good. I'm trying to think if I saw any others. I think those were the only ones that I really saw. I'll have to, you know what? I'll bring up the panel list. I'll bring up the schedule. But
Sorry, I cut you
really
off there,
enjoyed
Alex.
it.
What?
Sorry, we cut you off there. You were talking about the panel rooms.
Oh, I forgot.
I'm sorry.
I don't know where I was going.
Oh man. So while Josh looks that up, though, I did want to bring up this one running joke we've had with the convention center is some of the hilarious pairings that we've had going on with this convention over the years. You guys into King Tut?
Tut, 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 tut.
So,
well, if you were, you could have gone to the King Tut Expo and the Retro World Expo at the same
this year,
time.
So it's funny, Kineticon uses both of those convention spaces, but Retro World only uses half.
Yeah.
What I just find hilarious is sometimes the pairings are so bizarre because like this year we literally had Retro World, a video game convention on one side, and then literally this like Egyptian like King Tut like seminar thing going on to the side. And I can just imagine all the kids that's their parents are dragging them to this King Tut thing and they have to walk past the video game convention that's going on right next door.
And all the kids go, I want to go there instead. And they're like, no, you're going to King Tut.
I actually saw that happen once. At one point, a kid was trying to get in, and like the parents like no, like pulling away. It was like
we're gonna learn education.
I was like, oh
history.
no.
We should have been like, do you want to learn about games, kiddo?
I mean, gaming history is some of the most fascinating stuff there is out there.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, that's what we devote our podcasts to.
Yep.
Or I shouldn't say devote, but like we definitely dedicate some time to. And real quick, I didn't really see any other panels except I did see Mike Levy's panel, who a little bit of it because his was right before mine in a different panel room. He's the host of he's the runner of a YouTube channel called Dongled. He has a series called Dude, Have You Played This? You Haven't Played That Game? He kind of does like sketch comedy stuff. Like it's very similar to AVGN, but with his own kind of twist to it. I actually like his stuff. It's worth checking out. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, the pairings there. The King Tut exhibit was interesting to see every time I would come down. Like every time I would walk over from the hotel and I'd walk in, I'm like, I just see King Tut and then Retro World Expo.
See, I don't know if that's funnier than the wedding expo that we had last year.
And there was a kitchen and bath one
Yeah,
year
kitchen and
too.
bath was the year before, and then there was like home like decor the first year we went.
It was like home
So
and garden.
that kind of reminds me of a story. When I was at Too Many Games, they used to have this thing called the final. Well, they still have it, but they had this thing called the Final Boss Package. So your standard admission. Then they're like the next level up is mini boss. So that was like a little bit. You get some extra goodies. I think you could get in early as well. I can't remember. And then you had the Final Boss Package, which was like your primo. You're spending, I think, I went a couple years in a row, but you would spend like $100 for it. But it was for like a 3-day pass. Um, you would get like I literally have a bunch of satchel bags that I got from it. Like they would come with a T-shirt, a satchel bag,
Mm.
bunch of raffle tickets. Like it was a lot. And what was cool was you would also get admitted to the after party, the final boss after party, which they no longer do.
Oh.
I actually did it for the last year, and I'm glad they no longer do it because it was fucking shitty. The first before I get to the story, yeah, the last year that they did it, the what it was supposed to be is that it was for the people who paid a lot of money. They could go to the convention, get all those perks, plus all the guests would be at the after party, the final boss after party. So it would give you a chance to interact with the guests. It was like a meet and greet only for the people who paid for it, plus all the extra bonus stuff. And I thought that was cool. And it wasn't just like a meet and greet. It was like when I say after party, it was a party. There was dinner provided, and there
Oh,
was like you
Oh
would have to pay
wow.
for drinks, but there was dinner provided.
Yeah.
And they would get like a DJ or like some type of music act to perform. Like it was a cool thing. Um, and the last year they did it, the people who run the convention is Screenwave Media, who that's the AVGN's company and whatnot. And they decided to throw their annual like company party at the same time as the after party. So none of the guests showed up to ours and went to theirs because they're not going to have to deal with fans, I guess. And
probably.
I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, this is what we paid for. I was so
Aw.
mad about it, and the food was crappy. The music wasn't my favorite, which that's fine. Not everyone's gonna like the music. Nothing again. I don't even remember who the artist was, but I was so mad, so I ended up not doing it. And now they don't. Now the final boss package is something different. You get like a special pin and some other. I
Mm.
don't know. To me, it's not worth what it used to be.
Mm.
So anyway, I say all that because uh, there was the reason I thought about this in the first place. We were talking about like the weird dichotomy, the weird juxtaposition, I should say, of a gaming convention next to a wedding expo or King Tut exhibit. Well, wedding expo reminded me of this at the after party at Too Many Games one year. We had a DJ. I think it was I'm blanking on his name. It's a something. I'll look it up. I actually because I have some of his music. It's really good. But he was playing really good. It was the DJ was done by was like part of the music label Game Chops, which if anyone knows that music label, they're
Hmm.
fantastic. They A Rival, that's his name, A Rival. He was the DJ and he was killing it. One of the best like parties at one of the best anime rave, whatever you want to call it, parties I've ever been to. And me and my buddy Justin are there, and it's like everyone's dancing, everyone's having a good time, and all of a sudden we see this like dude in like a tux and a girl in like this really fancy dress come in, and we're like, what's this? Like, what's happening here? Then they disappeared, and we're like, okay, that was weird. Or like, oh, were they cosplaying? Were they just like, at cons, people will dress up just to be like that one person that dresses up when everyone
Yeah.
else is wearing like just casual shit.
Yep.
Well, it turns out they weren't from the con at all. It was a wedding. They were coming back from the reception.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, the entire wedding party, bride, groom, bridesmaids, groomsmen, crashed our
No.
crashed our after party. And I will never forget. It was a little awkward because some of the guys from the after party who were like hanging out, like what is it? They were trying to hit on the bride a little bit. I'm like, dude,
Oh
Jesus
That's
no.
just
Christ, come on.
weird. Like that's
Oh, that's
It was
no.
a little weird. But I will never forget this one thing where they're like, the bride was like, "What is this?" And it's one of the nerdiest looking dudes. I think I don't remember if he was that nerdy, but one of the guys, clearly wearing a video game shirt, glasses, goes, "It's a video game convention," and she goes, "What?" Just
Yep.
in pure shock that like it was like midnight and people were like, there was so many people, like alcohol was flowing and it was crazy. One of the best experiences of my life. I'm not much of a drinker, so I was actually sober, but it was like it was wonderful. One of the best experiences of my entire life. It was such a and that's why that one experience kept me going back to getting that final boss package, which just kept getting diminishing returns.
Yep.
But it honestly it saved it for me for quite some time. Like I don't think I would have bought it if it had been like it was the year after or even the year after that. I don't think I would have bought the final boss package again. But this one year was so wild. I'm like, there's got to be another one. There's got to
It's got to happen again.
Another wedding has to crash this party, right? But there's never. The problem is they never
you
have
plan
any.
a wedding. You just like plan another wedding.
Seriously, right?
See, it's
so
funny because
funny.
Retro World used to also have an after party thing. They no longer do.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of COVID, because the only time they did it was the year before that. So I'm not sure if they just stopped after that. But I remember me and Alex went to it, and it was literally the most awkward thing ever.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we like went for 5 minutes and we were like, let's leave.
We
and
went for
then
5 minutes, sat there, nobody did anything. Like, people tried to order drinks, but they only had like mixed drinks and they were expensive. And I was like, we were just kind of like, you want to just go? Like, this is awkward. So we just left.
And we were both just like, I'm good. Let's leave.
I'm curious if that's the reason why they. Also, that after party was in the area where the panel rooms were, so you had to go really out of your way to find it.
Yeah, it took us a bit just to find it and stuff.
Yeah,
that's frustrating to say the least.
Yeah,
but
so we didn't do that.
Going back to Retro World, another big part of the convention floor is the back half, which is the retro gaming / esports / arcade
area.
Yeah, wrestling.
Wrestling too. And I wanted to bring this up because this was so this is Josh, you were out going to panels. We had decided to head back there. We were hanging out with our friend Schnickerman and his wife. We were kind of just perusing the retro gaming area, and I remember we played so we played a bit of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 for like a minute, and we realized this game is fucking confusing, so we decided enough of that. Then we saw they had a full-on massive TV setup of Saturn Bomberman, which is in a lot of ways the best Bomberman game ever made, because you can literally play 10 players at once.
What?
Apparently the Saturn can play 10 players on certain games. So we did 4 players versus 6 computers. It was the most intense shit I think I've ever played. Like, that game gets ridiculous so fast because it's like Bomberman. You throw the bombs, you want to take out the competition, but when you get taken out, you get to go on the side of the board and you just get to throw bombs at the people still in, and it just goes on forever. We played this for literally 40 minutes.
With
like nonstop
random trap remixes in the bathroom.
So it was right next to the. It
basically
was because the bathroom was right
there too. So.
But the DJ booth was literally right next to this thing, so we're just getting blasted with the loudest like trap music there is. Like, I remember it was like Looney Tunes music, the Rugrats theme at one point, like the Animaniacs like United States song was like a trap remix of that, because why not?
It was funny like at first and like, all right, this is good, but then like after playing so much Bomberman, it was like, stop with the freaking trap music.
My head was pounding by the time we left there because I was like, oh my god.
It was also very loud where we were standing too.
One of the things I really wish that I would see at a convention again, specifically
is
a
more
gaming
trap
one.
music.
Oh yes. Well, actually, semi kind of. So Game Chops at Too Many Games would have like a DJ set up at the front of the convention. The convention floor was huge, and they would have all their music kind of like, I guess it was all done either wirelessly or maybe there's wires all around, but they would pump the music into the thing. Like there'd be speakers all over the place, and they were just kind of DJing like a long form set, like not trying to be loud, like they're not trying to do a party thing, but it's just like it was like playing music in the background. It was meant to be like shopping music, but it was all video game remixes and stuff, and it was great. It was so cool. And then they stopped asking them to do it, and I've been bummed about it ever since, because I love being able to just shop to video game music. It was really fun, and I really wish more conventions would do that. I think that's it, especially if you do like lo-fi beats and stuff like that, like making it nice and chill. Like, come on, who wouldn't want to hear that?
Well, did you go to the one booth that was playing the Wii Shop music
No.
over and over? They played it all day long.
The best, like so I always say like the two best like shopping musics of all time are the Wii Shop channel music and the Apple Market theme from Mega Man Legends, which is just
that Norwalk Game Symphony Orchestra. They closed their show with the Wii Shop music.
It's so it literally makes you want to buy things. Like, I'm convinced. Like, it was.
I bought a pop figure from there.
Yeah, wasn't that the one where the guy was dressed as Goku for like half the convention?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
There's also that one dude just dressed as a banana the whole convention,
and the Maraca guy that was just literally walking.
That's what I was talking about. That guy pissed me off.
There was two Maraca men. There was a banana one, and then there was another one in a siracha outfit.
The banana
as well.
one had banana maracas. Banana racas.
Banana racas.
Now, if they were Samba de Amigo or maracas, I would have given him props. But no, these were just maracas.
It just, I don't know. It the free play area was awesome though. Like, I played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 there, but the problem is like I couldn't get to the second level. I beat the first level, and every time it would try to load the second, it would just freeze, and then you'd have to reset the PlayStation. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But Alex and I played some Double Dragon.
You guys did.
In the arcade. It was fun.
So yeah, because I had to pee, so you guys were doing.
He had to pee. Wink, wink. No, I'm just kidding.
What do you even mean by that, Alex?
Don't indulge.
Don't answer that.
He was eating the beans. What do you think?
Anyways, so you guys were talking Double Dragon. Here's the fun part. I walked over and I stood there for a couple minutes. You guys didn't notice me for a good minute. So I actually walked
we were
off.
busy.
We were fighting a Bobo.
You guys were so into it that I was like, all right, I'll leave them be. I went over and I did an entire race of Daytona USA.
Oh, really?
I came back and you were still playing, and I was like, okay.
I had no idea.
Well, you guys were so into it, I didn't want to bother you, so I was just like, I'll go see what's going on. The Daytona
winning. No,
that's 4.
I barely know
her. But yeah, I went over and I just did an entire race of Daytona USA. Came back and I was like, okay, I'll watch now. That arcade setup was really nice, though. They had some really
very nice
cool stuff over there. I really like the Tempest machine they had.
Wasn't that 4? That was 4?
I said 4. Yep.
Oh, you did?
We're at 4.5.
4.5.
4.5. That's right.
Well, don't worry. I'll find a way to get us up to that other half. I'll also say one that doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a cool setup, though. I love old arcade machines like that.
I
do too. I like the free play arcade stuff. They also had pinball machines. They had a Dr. No pinball machine.
They did. Apparently, those are all rented from a arcade facility that has a ton of them, I guess.
Well, that Dr. No one is newer. That's not an old pinball machine. That's like a newer design one. Like pinball, I feel like has been making a bit of a comeback recently.
It has. Interesting.
Not like outrageous. It's not like it's suddenly the next hottest thing in the gaming community, but it's one of those things where it's like enthusiasts are really pushing it back to the forefront, because there are some pinball manufacturers that are still pretty popular, and they're getting some recognition for some of their work, which is really cool. So even though I'm not a huge pinball fan, I kind of like that it's starting to gain some traction again, because I like that it exists.
I also will say
At
they
least
had.
that's my perception.
Yeah, no, I believe that. Honestly, like it's becoming nostalgic, and people are really into like old stuff like that now.
Mm.
I will say
Well,
though,
especially.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say.
No.
I was just gonna say I really like that
Neither of you. No, I'm just kidding.
they had a really nice variety of like different consoles in the free play area.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had a Jaguar there, which I
Hell
thought was
yeah, they
hilarious.
did. Best
The
console.
only downside to the having a Jaguar there was the fact that
Yeah, unfortunately, there was an N64 there too, and it was just like, ugh. It was
It's
was
funny,
making the Jaguar disgusted.
It's funny, Bill. When you were talking about like weird like juxtapositions and weird like pairings, and I thought you were going straight to the fact that there was a Jaguar and a Nintendo 64 right next to each other on the show floor,
Oh,
which was just so bizarrely perfect because I'm an N64 apologist, and Alex thinks it's the spawn of Satan.
It is.
It's
terrible.
not. You're wrong.
No. I'm right.
So yeah, let's talk. Let's
You're
talk
right.
about.
No,
You have Stockholm
you're
syndrome.
wrong.
Let's talk about this for a minute. So there was literally, it's actually a picture of it is in the thumbnail for this episode if anyone's curious. But there was literally one of the retro booths had a rack that just had a bunch of consoles on it, and literally sitting right on top of this rack was an N64 and a Jaguar right next to each other, and Alex and Josh went on this whole spiel going back and forth for like 10 minutes, basically defending and shitting on the different consoles back and forth for like 20 minutes. And the whole time this is happening, the lady running the booth is just looking at them with the most confused face like I've ever seen. Like, what the hell are they talking about? Like
Funny you say shitting because the Jaguar looks like a toilet.
No,
Get
it needs
out.
the CD.
You're banned.
It needs the CD add-on.
Fine, we'll see if you ever get that can.
At least like the controller. I already got one. I'm good. I don't need another. I didn't start a new playthrough of Stardew Valley or anything.
You know what the best part of? All right, that's 5.
I know it's 5. It's 4 3/4 because I never finished the second half of the joke. You filled it in for me. Okay, there we go. 5.
I was gonna say though, the best part too was the lady at that stall like came over and like started to like ask a question and then just gave up and like walked away. Then came back and started again.
Ask a question.
Like she kind of raised her hand and like looked like she was about to say something and then just stopped and walked away. Came back a few minutes later, started again, just stopped, walked away. I watched this.
I
for like
feel
10
so bad now. I had no idea she was trying. I didn't even see anyone trying to like.
I didn't either.
Like
I was
she
too
was
busy
confused.
defending
Like
my
she wasn't
console.
sure whether you guys were interested or like whether you were doing a bit. Like which
Not a
kind
bit.
of were.
kind of.
It's the
I mean, it is.
truth. No,
It's a little bit of
it's
a bit.
real for me.
No one believes you, Alex.
No, N64. It sucks. You can't change my mind. It's terrible. Even with a different controller, it's still gonna suck. I just know it.
Anyway,
I want to play the Mutant Ninja Penguins again.
that is a good game.
What?
Attack of the Mutant Ninja Penguin or Mutant
Is that
Attack
a
of the
Jaguar
They're
game?
not ninjas.
No, the ninja is not part of that. She added that. Attack of the Mutant Penguins. AVGN covered it in his episode, and it was like the most like mind trippy game like ever made. It's
Is it
like
a Jaguar game.
Yeah, it's like a tower
Yeah.
defense game on the Jaguar.
Great game.
I was half hoping, but not because not for any like 64 versus Jaguar conversation, but I was really half hoping that Alex was going off on it, even though it and then go off on this whole thing only to be like, oh, but it's not actually on the Jaguar, so I don't know why I'm bringing it.
No, it is on the
I
Jaguar.
really
I know my games.
Jesus.
I know my Jaguar by heart.
Another funny
Jaguar.
moment.
Jaguar.
There's your half.
Okay. So now we're at 6.
We're at 6. We're
25.
at 6.
Yeah, we're at 6.
52.
Just leave it there.
100.
Another funny moment happened was there was another booth that was actually this kind of cool like little museum of old consoles, and I remember this because we were
That was
touching.
really cool.
It was cool. I just remember though we were touching that 5200 repeatedly, and then all of a sudden we looked over and there was a sign placed there that said, "Please do not touch the console." Despite us touching this 5200 for like
Well,
10
you wanted
minutes.
to see if there was a beer in there.
Yeah.
A beer.
No burr.
No beer.
That was cool though, like
Should
seeing
have
those up.
smuggled one in to put it in there for the laughs. The laughs.
It was pretty cool though seeing those. Like I've never actually seen a 5200 that close before, and the thing is huge.
It is.
It's
Big boy.
like the size of like a torso.
I was gonna say sandwich.
That was an original one too, with that god awful.
Wait, sorry. Are we talking about two different things?
No.
When it comes to
We're talking
her,
about
you
the
just
5200, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I was just saying.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Like, I could have sworn we were still on, and then when you said sandwich, I'm like, oh shit, is Bill talking about like a controller now? And
I'm just keep
what
you on
sandwiches
your
are you
toes.
eating?
This is
Oh,
just
really?
Alex being Alex in the background the whole time.
Just like a world record sandwich. It would be like a really big one.
We come back later on, and she's just like buried face deep in a sandwich the size of a 5200,
Oh God.
I love sandwiches.
mustard all over her face. It was
Hey.
really good.
It's really good. I feel like I would be like, okay, I don't feel so good.
Oh,
There's too much ham.
speaking of another thing we had
Turkey.
seen at the convention, I had a really funny Instagram conversation with some rando, but you remember that booth that had all the reproductions of just like ROM hacks, and we found that wonderful eyeless Mario game.
The eyeless Mario one.
So I legit got a message on Instagram because I had posted that in one of my photo dumps from the weekend. Someone literally commented like, "What's that Mario game? Is it real?" Well, no, their wording was, "What's the black Mario game? Is that real?" And I just like looked at it and I went, I don't even know how to respond to this. I just commented, no, that's a ROM hack. They were selling a bunch of those. And he was like, oh, what's it like? I'm like, I didn't buy it. We saw it and we thought it was funny.
Eyeless Mario.
Why would anyone buy it? I wonder if it's just a black screen.
I don't know what
Well, yeah,
it is.
maybe you just have to do it all like blind.
Like it's like playing blindfolded, basically.
I just like the fact that someone looked at that and thought, yeah, this is real. I'm just like, no, not at all.
What a wild that was so confusing. That like just seeing all like I actually was tempted to buy
Eyeless Mario.
the fan translation of Dragon Quest 5. But I didn't. Actually, I didn't really. I couldn't spend a whole lot this time because my wife and I are saving up for a house, so had to be a smart collector. I only bought I bought Zillion. I bought a Chrono Trigger trading card, which is actually really cool. So Chrono Trigger, people in Japan could pre-order it back in the if they pre-ordered it back when it originally came out in the mid 90s, you could get these holographic trading cards. So I actually have one of the forest scenes, which is really cool. So my buddy Chris, shout out to Chris over at Rewind Arcade, because he had a bunch of imports, and he had these Chrono Trigger like pre-order cards, which was awesome. Sorry, what, Bill?
I said I bought 4 of them.
Good job.
Yeah, he has a bunch of cool stuff there, man.
He did. Well, I really wanted that Mother 2, just because like Mother 2 just has such a cool box, like just the red box with just the logoing. It looks so clean and nice. I also bought a Japanese Chrono Trigger, and then the second day I bought that one of the Japan only Fortune Street games, like the Final Fantasy Dragon Quest one, and then this Ranma game I'd never heard of before. They were super nice though. Like they were like I think he took down both of our podcasts, which was really cool. And then we've actually interacted a few times on Instagram and Twitter now, which is really cool.
Nice.
He's a really nice. Him and his wife are awesome. Z actually, his wife streams on Twitch.
Oh, cool.
Actually, I think she's at the time we're recording this. I'm pretty sure she's literally streaming right now. I think her. I'll shout out her tag once I look at it. I think it's like at Kitty Mecca or something like that.
I think that sounds right.
It's I'll see if I can find it real quick. But yeah, Kitty Mecca, KITTYMECHA. And she's awesome. And Chris streams once a year to keep his affiliate status, and that's about it.
Classic. Another fun thing I noticed too was like a lot of the booths had like these random bins of like it was like $1 a game, and
Yes.
sometimes you'd find some winners in there. Like me and Kevin or Schnickerman, his handle that we refer to him as. We were going through and he found this one bin that was just like a tote of nothing but like PS1, 360, and Xbox games, and they were all like $1. So we were going through and like I remember like I found like there was like an IndyCar racing game, and I think I found like the two PS2 Call of Duty games all for like $3. I was like, hell yeah, like this is the collecting I'm into.
I like finding like obscure stuff like that, or not obscure, but like I like finding those things that are. I think there's something fun about looking at all the bargain bin stuff and trying to find something interesting that you find interesting in there. Like there was one, it was a little more than I. Oh shoot, I don't even remember what it was now. There was something I saw at at one of the vendors. It was like $10 though, which was more than I had, or it was 15, which was more than I had left. Ah man, I can't remember what it is anymore. It was something super weird and obscure though. I was just surprised it existed type of thing. It looked kind of like I actually think you guys are covering it on the 3DO experience, PO'd.
Yep, that's our next game.
Like that like the box art for that looks fucking nuts. It's like a chef with a jetpack on or some shit like that.
Yeah.
The game I'm thinking of, which I can't remember the name of, it reminded me of that. The cover was just so bananas. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening, but I need to buy this because I need to understand what's happening.
Yeah. I did like some of the artsy booths too as well. Like there was some pretty cool like artistic booths. Like there was the one that was
Bill
like
bought a mouse pad.
I did not buy the mouse
Yeah,
pad.
you did.
With mouse pads with jiggle physics.
That's just something like even I don't understand the appeal of, but that's for another day.
I don't same. Like listen, I understand if you're feeling some sort of way, feeling a little frisky. I get it. But like how do you explain a mouse pad with boobs on it to everyone that comes into your like whatever room you're, unless you only have that in one specific room that's made for a very specific purpose, which I don't want to know about. But I can't imagine like what do you do when you have friends over or if you have like relatives with kids? Like you hide your boob pad.
Yes.
I have a strong suspicion the people who buy those don't have kids or
friends.
I don't want to say friends because that's mean, but they're at the point in their life where
mean friends.
They're at the point in their life where they just don't care. And I'm kind of like, to me, I just think that's distracting. Like you're trying to use your mouse and you just got like, I don't even understand how it works. Oh,
well,
man. But yeah, that was the thing. It wasn't as funny as the hentai booth that we saw at Kineticon, but
yeah, that booth was funny because from the outside it just looked like a normal anime or
manga
just
booth.
like manga booth, and then nope.
But yeah, there was some fun like artists and stuff. Like there was a cool one that was like repurposing controllers into like these like little like outdoor art pieces, which was kind of cool.
I like seeing a lot of the stuff in the artist alley. I also like. I'm sorry if you already brought it up. I had someone message me on Discord. And I'm like, "What's going on?" I'm bad at multitasking. Anyway,
No
there was a booth there where they repurposed like old game consoles. That's not what you were just talking about,
yeah,
was it?
that's exactly what I just said.
God damn it, Josh!
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Hey guys,
Of
did
course,
you see the
like that.
booth where they repurposed the game console? I'm out. Goodbye.
No, but I thought that was neat. Like that's a really cool way of reusing those things.
I wanted the
Agreed.
3D printed chopper.
Oh yeah, there was a
chopper.
There was a 3D printing booth that had a bunch of like video game and like anime characters that they had printed out, and they were like these 3D statues. They were really expensive though. I know there was like an Agumon that Kevin was looking at, but it was like $40, I think, and it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, and the one that I wanted was much bigger than that, so I'm sure it was like $100+.
Oh, it's wild that they're charging that much for it. I actually, a coworker of mine has a 3D printer, and he was saying how like he printed out like a life-size helmet one time, and it cost him less than $5 worth of materials.
Yeah, my best friend actually does a lot of 3D printing, and he tells me it like doesn't cost that much at all.
Mostly it's just time, because obviously it does take time for the printer to print something that large. So that's I think most of the price maybe goes into the time that it takes, versus like if you want to print that printer, yeah, it's only going to cost you $5 in materials, but you might that printer might be going for like 3 hours or 4 hours or 5
Yeah.
hours or some shit like that. And so you can't really like, you can like mass market it, quote unquote, but only if you have like 6 printers going at once type of thing.
Yeah, honestly. You know, it was also weird too. Like we had mentioned earlier, but there was a ton of those repro booths. They wanted a lot of money for those reproduction carts, which I feel like is kind of, that's in a weird gray area to me.
I'm with you on that. I'm not a fan of like I have no issue with repros. Like as long as they're clearly marked, but it's like $50 just to get what is it, like Sweet Home for like the NES or something like that.
Yeah, like that doesn't, like, to me, like I'll get like maybe like 20, like they're covering the parts like that they had to use or something like that. But like $50, that's kind of, that's in a weird little area that I'm not really sure how to describe. Like it just doesn't seem right, I guess is the way I'm saying it.
Yeah, considering they are essentially profiting off of someone else's copywritten work, that
Yeah.
I didn't even think of it this way. Like ROM hacks are like, you know, like ROM hacks are one thing, or like even fan translations of, I mean, even then I don't know, that's a little bit like that's legally, that's in a gray area too, because you're get like the fan translation obviously is one thing, but when you're taking an entire game, I guess they did do some work on it. I guess it's just different when it's like you're reselling something that was originally marketed or originally bought from a store, you know, like years and years ago, so the company theoretically made their money off of it. But
Yeah.
when you're just taking like, you know, like remakes or the repros of existing games, like a repro of Chrono Trigger or a repro of
Earthbound or something.
Earthbound or something like that, or like Little Samson, or even a game that never came over in the US, and you're doing a repro ROM hack thing. It feels like the ROM hack at least feels like it adds a little bit more credibility to it, because there's a little bit more work that goes into it than just flashing another cart over. But like someone just taking the fucking like Earthbound ROM and flashing it onto an NES, Super Nintendo card, and be like, here's a repo for $60.
Yeah, that's scummy. I never liked that.
Yeah.
So during the second day, we did end up going out to eat midway through.
Yes, we were hungry.
We went to Plan B Burgers.
Plan
We
B
were
burger
hungry
box.
for Plan B.
Yes.
No one got pregnant.
No one.
So, I made the joke.
Really
That
short.
took Bill. That I was so surprised when we left Plan B. You're like, oh, I get this now.
Yeah, it took me way longer than it should have to get that joke, which I admit.
Good job.
They had good burgers though, man.
They were good boygas.
No, I had this like spicy jalapeno burger.
Boygas.
You said the service was slow the day before because you had gone there multiple times, right?
I went there once before with Chris and Z from Rewind, and they were very understaffed, and it took forever for us to even get served, let alone get our food. But then when the three of us went on Sunday, it was so much faster.
Yeah, I assume probably because it was earlier in the day and they probably had more staff and there was less people there.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nobody there the previous night, but it was just there was no staff. Like I guess someone called out
true.
and it screwed everyone else over.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That was good though. That was nice too because that was literally right across the street from the convention center, so like it took no time at all to get there.
And it was definitely way more bang for your buck, especially for like the convention food that they always sell. Like
the overpriced chicken and burgers, whatever they had
tater
going.
tots. I get
At the restaurant, they
tater
had
Oh, at the
sugar
restaurant, not
Yes.
at the convention.
No,
Well,
not at the convention. At the restaurant.
they might have had
Though
them at
the convention food, I mean, it's not the worst I've ever had. It's just overpriced. Like,
Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah,
like
no,
for
yeah.
what you're getting, it's not awful. It's just you're spending way too
So
much
much
freaking
money.
money for how little food you actually get in return. Like I got this spicy chicken sandwich. It was like this chicken sandwich with like a spicy aioli or something like that on it, and it was like it was smaller than a burger. It was like the size of a McDonald's burger, and it was like $11.
yeah.
I'm like, dear God, no, thank you, not again. When you can go to Plan B Burger, not get pregnant, and
Not
get and get a burger for like the same price, and it's huge.
Yeah,
Yes.
much more worth it.
Yes.
There's also a DeLorean outside the convention center, which was fun.
Oh yeah, there was. Bill tried to
And
steal
a
it
fake Mario Kart car.
Yeah,
Yes.
that car has been there for
every year. I think
4
it's been
years
there
now. Every year we've
yeah.
been, that car comes back, and I've actually like chatted with the owner of it on Instagram a few times because I tagged him in one of the photos. He's actually a pretty nice dude. I guess that's just a thing he does. He drives that to conventions all over the place.
Herbie was there too.
So wait, had the DeLorean not been there before in the times you guys have been there?
I've never seen the
I don't
DeLorean before. That
know.
was the first time that we've ever seen that.
So like there's a bunch of conventions in my area. I swear to God I see that like I don't know if it's that exact same one, but I swear I see a DeLorean from Back to the Future at least 2 to 3 times every year. It's
Maybe
no
there's
longer
more.
anything cool to me anymore. I'm like, oh my God, I've seen you like 6 times already in the last 2 years. Leave me alone. You're haunting me.
Stop following me. No.
See, that's like that shows like
next time I see it, I just yell at the car.
That kind of shows like
danger!
that shows like the duality, because like we've seen the Mario Kart car so many times now. I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. But then like the DeLorean pops up. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I haven't seen one of those in a while.
That's interesting.
Though I will say they had a bunch of cars in the showroom. They had
How did they get there?
like Alex said, the
Did they go up the
Herbie.
escalator?
It wasn't even the right
I
like
don't know.
type of bug, but it was like a newer version, but it still was cool.
They had the Men in Black car, which I've never seen that before. I'm not like a giant Men in Black fan, but it was still cool that they had the car from it there. They also had like this like I forget, there was like one with just a bunch of artwork all over it. I forget.
And then there was
There was
Knight
a
Rider.
bunch of stuff there.
Knight Rider was in there.
Oh.
That was in the arcade area.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Because I don't know. I've seen the Knight Rider car a handful of times as well. So I don't know.
Did you see
just
a Yoshi
kinda,
scooter?
that was really cool.
That's actually by the same guy that made the Mario car.
Oh really?
Yep.
Yeah, that was like his new thing for this year.
Yoshi Mobile.
Would it be cool if I talked about my panel a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I was
of
actually
course.
saving that. I figured we'd save that for the end after we chatted
The
about
Oh,
his
okay.
video.
Then I wasn't sure. No. Continue on. We can keep on going.
Yeah, no worries. Before I was getting ready to wrap up anyways, can get to that. But one other thing I wanted to bring up was one of my favorite things I do at every convention like this is like I'll pick a game at the start and I'll make it my goal for like the convention to find said game and like purchase it. And because of Josh's panel, we actually he had informed me of 007 Racing, and one of my current collecting goals is I'm trying to collect all the PS1 racing games, because there's a ton of racing games on PS1. And I kind of was like, I don't have that one. That would actually be kind of cool. So I made it my like quest to find this game. And I actually was giving up hope because I had scoured through pretty much every PS1 like bin or like table I had seen. I could not find it. I found tons of copies of Tomorrow Never Dies or The World Is Not Enough, but not 007 Racing. And then it was literally like we were just like shooting the shit at one booth, and like I just happened to notice some PlayStation games. It was actually one of the booths, one of your I forget his name, one of your friends' booths actually.
Josh from Firespin Gaming.
Yep, that's the
actually it might have been the other Josh from Gotham City Games. I don't know.
I think it was him.
So
Too
Too many Josh.
two of my friends were,
You need to fight for Josh Hood.
we have to. We have to fight for who's the supreme Josh.
Yes, who is the Josh? No, but they can't be Josh anymore. They gotta find a new name.
One Josh
Mosh.
to rule them all.
They just gotta change the first letter.
I'll be
Mosh.
Mosh. I can beat the shit out of people.
But anyways, so it was definitely one of the Josh's booths, and I was just looking through casually, and I just noticed all the doubles because they were alphabetized, which I was amazed they were still alphabetized by this point, because people come in, grab stuff, put it back, don't put it in order. And all the 007 games were just in a row. And I was like, oh, 007 games, that's cool. So I'm just looking over there, and then I see one copy of 007 Racing at the bottom, and I was like, I need it. I pulled it out. It was the collector's edition, which I was kind of like, and then I was like, I'll buy it anyways. So I scored that.
Well,
and
little do we know, according to price charting, the regular edition of 007 Racing, if you have a loose disc or sealed, it is worth more of the regular edition. But if you have a complete in box, i.e. the manual, jewel case, and disc, just not sealed, it's worth more for the collector's edition, which is really weird that, like, in two different types of, I guess, status of I don't know, presentation, whatever the fuck, if it's loose or if it's unsealed, if it's sealed still, it's worth more in the original non-collector's edition version. But the moment you get a collector's edition, the moment it's unsealed, or the moment you break that seal, I don't know, it's very strange. The whole thing is strange, where it's like, if you have a sealed collector's edition, it's worth less. If you have a loose collector's edition, it's worth less. But if it's complete in the box, it's worth more. Yeah, I don't understand.
Game collectors are weird. It's funny though, because the only difference is the spine is like silver rather than black.
Did you try it yet?
I have not. I haven't had time, unfortunately.
I was hoping that you could try it, and just to be like, what is this game? Look at Pierce Brosnan's like fucking forehead that can cut glass.
Why does he look like a Yakuza character?
He does.
Yeah, that was fun though. The only other goal I had during the entire convention was I was trying to find 3DO games because I need content. And literally every booth I went to, and I asked, do you have 3DO games? Their response was usually no, sorry. Or their response was, oh, you see, we didn't bring them because we didn't think anyone would want them. And I was just in there going curses.
You're like, but I was the guy. I wanted them.
Yeah. I did score a few though.
Imagine you get the 3DO experience gets big enough that you can get invited to like a retro convention, so all the vendors are like, Bill from the 3DO experience is here, we gotta stock up on 3DO games.
Yeah, that would be something.
He's gonna buy them all. He needs content.
I did finally buy a copy of Night Trap, so I now own a physical Night Trap for 3DO.
Wow,
you poor man.
It's funny because I actually, when I do eventually play that, I'm probably going to play the Switch version just for the irony of it. But
it's the Switch, bitch.
And the whole time I'll just be reciting the Howard Lincoln quote about how Night Trap will never be on a Nintendo console.
Oh yeah, that's really funny.
But the one other running joke I have at every convention before we let Josh talk about his panel is this is just because I think it's funny, but every time I go to a convention that has a ton of retro games, I like to do a count of how many copies of the Guy game I can find. Only found 2 this year, which I'm proud, because it disturbs me how many copies of
healing
the game. So I will say though, one of the copies was purchased by somebody because it wasn't their day 2. So somebody bought the Guy game.
No.
The dubiously.
If you buy that, you will be a disgrace to our family.
I don't want
that guy. Probably also bought a boob pad.
Probably.
Yep.
Yeah, that game's
bought them all.
That game is dubiously. The Guy game is dubiously illegal technically, so I don't want any part of that. No, thank you.
No.
Did you just try to do that joke again, Alex?
What?
I thought you said dubiously.
No, I was just.
That doesn't count, Bill. We weren't trying to make a joke with that one.
No, I was just repeating it. I thought you said doobie at first. I was confused.
Sure.
I wasn't doing it.
I guess though, before
we're not counting
I quit.
it. So
I'm leaving. Goodbye.
I guess before we let Josh talk, though, Alex, did you have any last things you want to talk about?
No, I want to go home.
You are home.
Shit.
All right.
I'm trying to think. Sorry, my head hurts from thinking.
All right.
No.
We'll let you think about it, and I'll let Josh talk about his
I don't
panel. And
want
if you
to.
think of it by the end, then you can cover it at the end.
Okay.
But how was your panel, Josh?
Well, I
It was
mean, you
great.
guys were nice enough to attend it, so thank you very much for,
No
for
worries.
showing up. No, I think what was weird about the panel for me was that I was hoping more people would show up. To be honest, not just because you always hope people do, I guess, but in terms of actually how it went, I think that's in terms of like it was one of those things where I did so much research and I was practicing so much stuff beforehand. I mean, you guys saw me practicing literally before I went in to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I was so nervous that I was going to screw it up because there's a lot. I had to relay a lot of information in 50 minutes.
But you had beans.
I did have
Beans
beans.
to help you.
Yeah, that's when we dropped
Yes.
that on him right before the
right
panel.
before the fucking panel. Alex gives me a fucking can of bush baked beans, and I'm like, what is this about? And I don't even remember in the Stardew episode saying that was going to be a thing, but apparently it was a thing that I didn't remember.
You said you were going to get me a can of tuna.
I did. That's my own fault, and I admit to that. But I didn't. I don't remember the beans half of this.
Well, you got a can of beans. Enjoy
I did.
them.
The first thing my
you could
wife
have
said
hucked
to me
them
when
at
I got home,
someone in the audience.
I
Anyone
got home
sassing
at
you?
I beaned them. I'll bean them with the beans.
And that's how Josh was never allowed to do a panel at Retro World again.
It said that the person he hit still has the scar. they still have
scar.
an indentation on their forehead, a bean
of a
scar.
perfect bean.
All right.
I've succeeded. I've broken. I've broken our cast.
Let the man talk, Alex.
But no, it was funny though. When I got home at like 9:30 or whatever, maybe 10, and the first thing my wife said is, "Why do you have that can of beans?" And I'm like, it's a long story. I'll tell you tomorrow. No, but I was really happy with how the panel itself went because I was so in my practice for it. I had kept like changing things up or forgetting information I wanted to relay and stumbling over my words. And I don't know if I did it all during the panel, but it felt like a blur went by. Like I felt like I didn't stutter nearly that often or have a lot of ums or ahs. I felt like I was able to just relay the information that I needed to. So I was really happy on that aspect. So yeah, it went really, really well. I was really happy with doing it. I'm hoping I can do another panel next year. I won't do the same one again because I feel like that would be lame to do the same panel at the same convention every single year, with no changes.
Do people do that?
I'm already.
Some do.
Some people do that, but they usually have they usually change things up. So for example, I went to a panel, it was like one of the 18 plus panels at an anime convention, and it was like the Super Mario Red Coin District.
Oh.
And it was just like it basically was just watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Show and just making dirty jokes. It was like Mystery Science Theater, but making like dirty jokes at the expense of Super Mario Brothers Super Show. But they talk about how they did it before, but they change it up. The different games this year, different prizes, different whatever. I can't really do that with the James Bond panel. I guess I should have said what I did the panel on. I did it on the history of James Bond in video games from 82 to the first game that I could find from 1982 all the way up to the most recent one, which was like 2012 or like 2013 or whatever. So yeah, I have an idea for next year already, but I wanted to ask you, Bill, since you know a lot about games. Was there anything that I apologize if this sounds a little like, oh, tell me how good I did. I don't mean it that way. I'm more curious. Was there anything that I covered that you were surprised to learn?
All the old stuff. Like I didn't know. The oldest Bond game I knew about was the one with the Genesis one that had, was it
Timothy
Lazenby
Dalton.
Oh, was it adult? Yeah, Timothy Dalton on it.
Yeah.
That was like the oldest one I knew of. Like I didn't know about any of those older games.
I think for myself and like researching it, the one that blew me away the most was the console one for the ZX Spectrum Plus 2, where it came with like a light gun and had 2 original games that only showed up on that ZX Spectrum. That's the
Oh
only
yeah,
way
that
you
one
can
was
play them.
interesting. That and
that was really cool.
The rabbit hole of the that writer that like apparently worked on Ultima that you went into, like that was like that just kept going.
Raymond Benson, dude, and I didn't bring it up in the panel, but I actually had him on the podcast.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh,
you can. I mean, I can look up the episode number just if I can look up that episode number. But yeah, I've had him on the show before. He was very, very nice. I'm still I don't personally I wish I could have done a little bit better on the interview with him, but I still really enjoyed that episode. It's episode number 181, and it came out
181.
a little over 2 years ago. It was like February of 2021. So yeah, episode 181. He was awesome though. So yeah. Yeah, the panel went great. I was really happy with how it turned out, and I'm really grateful for both of you guys showing up and hanging out for it because like I said, there wasn't a ton of people, so you guys pretty much made up like I think there was like maybe a total of 10 people, 3 of which were friends, 2 of them you and my other friend Josh from the vendor's room. So yeah, but yeah, it was a good time, and thank you both again for coming. It was I'm happy you guys got to see it.
No, it went really
awesome.
smooth. Like no issues. Like I think the only like hiccup was like your computer like went to sleep at one point, and that was like about it.
Midway through the presentation, we're like, you son of a bitch! I thought I turned off sleep mode. Guess
you had some pretty good zingers
if
in
only
there
you
too.
had the beans. Could have thrown it.
You just hurl beans at my computer. Now try to work
Wake
with
up.
that.
Some of your zingers were pretty good though. Like I love the when Octopussy popped up, you were just like, I hate this name, and I was like,
I'm not going to say this out loud
for the rest of the panel. Actually, no, you didn't even say it. Period. I don't think.
Yeah, you were just like, nope, I'm out.
Nope, I'm refusing to say it. I honestly, the main reason I didn't say it is because with panels you have to keep it family friendly a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll put it up there, but I'm not going to read it.
I'm not talking about it.
The movie itself actually isn't that bad. It's a fun Bond film, but it is there's a moment in that movie. Actually my still bonding episode on it hasn't even come out yet. It's one of the most cringy moments I've ever experienced in a film, where there's 2 moments in it. One, Bond sees so Octopussy is a character in the movie Octopussy. She is like the main Bond girl. She's like a smuggler who revived this octopus cult or something like that.
Oh.
And it's all these it's all these beautiful women, of course, in like scantily clad clothes, and they're also badasses and acrobats and stuff like that. So one of the girls in her like smuggling ring octopus cult thing, her name's Magda, and she's got a little octopus tattoo. I guess it's supposed to symbolize like she's part of the octopus cult. When Bond sees it, he goes, "What's that?" And she goes, "Oh, that's my little Octopussy." And I just, it gets worse though.
Oh no!
It gets worse when he meets Octopussy herself. What a ridiculous name! But she's going into her backstory, and like she doesn't kill Bond for actually a pretty decent story reason, like in terms of her backstory. But you find out that the reason she calls herself that is because that was her dad's pet name for her. And I'm like, excuse me?
That just
excuse me?
Who was Bond in that movie?
What father would be like name their daughter as a cute nickname, Octopussy?
Was
not a good one.
Was that a Roger Moore film or?
It is a Roger Moore film.
Okay. It sounds goofy like a Roger Moore film. So.
That movie begins with some very problematic problematic opening of a bunch of very blue-eyed, blonde-haired people playing Hispanic soldiers.
Oh no.
Oh no.
A movie is nuts. It is absolutely nuts. Anyway, thank you for letting me be a little, I guess, a little self-indulgent. A little. I hope it doesn't come off as too like,
Oh no,
"Oh, look
no
at my
worries at all.
panel." It just, I wanted. It was something that happened at the con, and that's the whole reason I was there. So I wanted to
Yeah,
talk about it a bit.
That was
it
what
was
we
fun.
capped off. We capped off the weekend with too, because we had
Yeah.
we headed out pretty much right after that. I kind of felt bad because I didn't realize at the time, but the guy who was following you after was actually one of the guys from I'll drop a little shout out to them now, another podcast called Classic Gaming Brothers, who I
Yep.
have actually interacted with online a few times. So I kind of felt bad. I was like, I knew that guy. I didn't realize it at the time.
I actually have already reached out to them because Zach was one. It's Zach and Seth, and Zach was the one doing the panel.
Okay.
He's like, "Hey, we actually host a podcast as well. We'd love to have you on to talk about Bond games." So I've actually already reached out to them, and we're setting up a time to record. So
Nice.
that'll be fun.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to that whenever that does go down. I'm very busy in the meantime.
Yeah, I felt bad because it hit me like the next day. I was like, wait a minute, I knew that show. I'm like, I've talked to him on Discord a few times.
Mhm.
I was like, I should have said hi. I didn't think about it at the time.
I mean, it would happen so fast too.
Yeah. No, it was fun though. The overall experience this year, I think, was like probably the smoothest Retro World I think we've ever had.
Hmm.
Like,
It
granted, there's never really been a non-smooth Retro World because
Well,
Retro
this
World
was
is.
also the first one we went to for both days.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we usually would only do like the Saturday. Last year we only did the Sunday because of moving at the time.
Yeah, I actually
Mhm.
bought my we were literally moving into my condo the Saturday of the last year, so crazy how time flies.
Yeah, that was
Makes
funny.
sense. Well, I had a great time, man. It was my first time going up there. It was awesome getting to meet both of you,
Oh no, it
like
really
actually
was.
in person for the first time. It made the whole con experience a lot more enjoyable for me. I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys and just
Aw.
I don't know, it was just fun to shoot the shit for a few days. It was great.
It was just cool, like actually meeting people you met online and them actually turning out to be cool people. Like,
And them not
because they
being
used
a
to always.
serial killer. No.
Not that you know of yet.
Oh no.
Don't look behind you, Alex.
It's a can of tuna.
I was gonna say
Oh,
it's her
no.
cat the whole time, but no, it's just funny. Like back in the day, like growing up, they were always like taught you like you never trust anyone you meet online, or like don't talk to people online. And it's like times have changed quite a bit over
Well,
the years.
you still probably shouldn't. Well, if
Use common
you should
sense.
use caution.
No, it was a fun
That's why
time. Though,
we met at a public space.
Yes.
I made sure to do a full background check. I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Met at a public space.
We went to a sketchy pizza
a
place.
Holiday Inn.
Bill came the first day I got into Bill's truck. The first day I met him,
Yep.
he came to my hotel room.
Yep.
And we did a podcast.
We
Oh
did a
my.
podcast,
like normal people. No, it was an awesome
which
time.
I still
Though.
have to edit. Yeah, man.
I'm-
It was
Come on.
so much fun getting to meet both of you. It was a great time. So many like the inside jokes still have not stopped, even on this episode. That's why we're almost at 2 hours long.
I know.
Oh Jesus! What?
This I think is the longest Retro World discussion we've ever had. Legitimately,
I'm not
though, this is
really
also
what
the
time it
longest
was.
time we've been at Retro
Well,
World.
also
So.
minus 20 minutes for just random bullshit at the beginning.
That's like every one of our episodes, though.
True. You
But
right.
yeah, like we're gonna have to like make our way down to like too many games at some point.
Downtown. Walking fast. Faces. Fast.
Thank you,
And
Alex.
I'm homebound.
No, like I'm probably going to be slowing down on conventions for the time being, but I think if I'm going to do like a big one, I might try to make my way down to too many games one of these years.
Too many games is fun. It's huge. Only thing I'm bummed about is that now their prices are a little out of hand. In my opinion, like
Are they?
it was $60 for just Saturday.
Ooh.
Oh.
So I think it was like 90 for the weekend. So I don't know what it's going to be like next year, but it was a lot more expensive than it has been in the past. Like when I first started going to the convention, like almost a decade ago now, it was like $40 for the weekend.
Mm.
And now it's 60 for just one
And
day.
now it's your firstborn child. No, I'm just kidding.
That escalated quickly.
Dun, dun,
It
dun.
does. It tends to do that with Alex.
That's so expensive. Sorry. I'll leave now.
Sorry.
Goodbye. Sorry.
7.
It was 6.5. That one didn't really work.
You started it that time. It wasn't me.
But yeah, it was. It's so hard to end these things. It was a great overall experience overall. That was alliteration there. Redundancy. Anyways, before we wrap this up though, Josh, do you want to plug your show again? Or
Sure. I guess I know. Yeah. So I am Josh of the Still Loading podcast. I'm the host and producer and all. I do everything over there. It's a video game history and culture and discussion and review and it's a gaming grab bag podcast as I describe it. So I do reviews, interviews, discussions, like weird ideas. Like I recently did the Final Fantasy draft, which is what happens when Final Fantasy and fantasy sports mix. That's now a yearly thing, which is awesome. So that's always fun. But yeah, so it's Still Loading podcast. You can find it where all good podcasts are given away for free. So yeah, Still Loading. You can check it out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and you can follow me at Still Loading Pod on pretty much everywhere. Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, because fuck that other name.
Zitter.
And also Blue Sky. I already said Blue Sky. And at Still Loading Pod on YouTube. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Nice. Yeah, highly recommend Josh's show.
Yes.
Before we sign off too, I'd also like to just send a shout out to Schnickerman and his wife. It was really nice getting to meet them. They actually
I've been meaning to do this, and I apologize. Schnickerman, I barely know her man. There we go.
Nice.
That's my last one for the episode, I promise.
All right.
I was going to say though, they actually got us. They actually got us gifts, which I wasn't expecting at all. Like they made us these custom keychains, like that said Bill and Alex, and he actually got me it was like this racing game, but it was like a Brazilian import, like special edition.
Oh, that's
that was
awesome.
Really cool. Yeah, it was just super thoughtful. I really wish like I had something to give back because like I wasn't expecting it at all, but it was like super nice. Yeah, I did invite Kevin for this, but he was out of town. He's actually heading, I guess, down south for the weekend.
He was hiding. He's scared of us.
I'm
just kidding.
Probably just you, but you know.
No.
But once again, guys, thanks for listening to the Gaming and Collecting
You
podcast.
End it with Alex crying.
Yeah, well, I usually do. The Gaming and Collecting podcast can be found on all the major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
It's not anywhere.
You can find all our applicable links on Linktree/TheBarproof Games, and you can join the GNC podcast Discord server where Alex likes to post really cursed stuff all the time. And
Kermit.
That is definitely there.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Okay, and that's that. Nothing else. You can't find this anywhere. I don't even know where you're listening to this. If you are, where are we? Who am I? What is this?
The one guy that's listening on an Apple Watch.
Is it my watch?
Until next time, guys. We will see you all next time.
Bye.
I think we ended on 7. I'm not sure. Goodbye.
No.